Üdvözöljük utasainkat! Az első megálló
Mauvaises Ondes.
Üdvözöljük utasainkat! Az első megálló
Mauvaises Ondes.
Bonjour.
114.
114.
114.
Perhaps it's too late, but I'll tell you this. If I could do it again, I'd wake up early and be fighting these bastards from the start. Fight the Empire!
The
real danger is that if we hear enough lies, then we no longer recognize the truth at all.
Les baies vitrées, tournois, autour du hall d'entrée.
Very cool. Very cool.
Bonjour, vous êtes sur Mauvaises Ondes, Tilos en français. Aujourd'hui, ça sera une émission un tout petit peu particulière car nous allons parler de la situation en Iran et également ce sera pour une fois une situation bilingue anglais-français. Donc je vais traduire de l'anglais notre conversation avec nos invités. Donc nous avons avec nous Hadi. Hello Hadi, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Et nous allons également, dans quelques minutes, avoir deux jeunes filles, Parisa et Ilnazo, qui vont nous rejoindre.
D'accord.
Voilà. Hadi, to start with, and waiting that your other friends arrive, could you describe yourself a little bit, telling us, so you're an Iranian citizen, what you're doing in Hungary, since how long are you here?
Yes, I've been here for 14 years already, and I came here for studying, and now I basically work in a university here.
Okay. And maybe our listeners didn't really follow exactly what happened in Iran. So since a lot of months, there's very big demonstration in Iran. Sadly, a lot of people have been wounded. Can you tell us how it started? But I'll translate first. Donc peut-être que tous nos auditeurs n'ont pas suivi les événements en Iran. Donc malheureusement, depuis quelques mois, il y a des manifestations monstres en Iran et également aussi malheureusement la police a déjà tué beaucoup de personnes. Donc Hadi va nous expliquer un petit peu quelle est l'origine de ces manifestations. So Hadi, you will tell us how those demonstrations started.
Yes, so in September 2022, so as I think, I don't know if you are familiar with this morality police in Iran, that they basically prosecute people who don't follow the dressing code of the Republic.
Donc en Iran, il y a une police des mœurs qui persécute les gens qui ne portent pas les vêtements d'une bonne façon. Yes.
Yeah, and so basically there's always a lot of tension between the morality police and people, ordinary people. And anyway, this time they arrested her, a woman, 22 years old woman, Mahsa Amini or Gina Amini, and then they basically killed her.
Ok. Donc il y a une tension permanente entre la police des mœurs et la population et récemment la police des mœurs a arrêté cette jeune femme qui avait 22 ans et cette arrestation a causé sa mort. Hadi, what happened after this young woman died? Qu'est-ce qui s'est passé après sa mort? Did people react directly, or did the movement take a few days to develop? Est-ce que les gens ont réagi directement, ou est-ce que ça leur a pris un petit peu de temps pour avoir conscience de ce scandale?
Yeah, so apparently they beat her up so badly, so she went to a coma for a few days, and then people were very furious and basically worried about this woman. And then after a few days, she died. So when this happened, then almost immediately some people, so it was a Kurdish girl in Tehran who was killed by the morality police. So some Kurdish cities became basically some unrest became started in Kurdish cities, and also at the same time in Tehran. So it started.
Okay. Yeah. Donc cette jeune fille a été tellement battue par la police qu'elle a été hospitalisée dans le coma. Elle est décédée à l'hôpital quelques jours après. C'est une jeune fille d'origine kurde mais qui habitait à Téhéran, et c'est au départ plutôt dans les villes du Kurdistan que l'émotion a été la plus forte avant de s'étendre à tout l'Iran. Je vais demander à Hadi pourquoi maintenant. Ça fait longtemps sûrement que malheureusement la police des mœurs commet des crimes. Pourquoi cet événement en particulier a déclenché une telle émotion? So Hadi, why this demonstration started now? Because I can guess that this violence of this morality police exists since a long time, and they already committed some crime. Why do you think it happened this year, this big demonstration?
Yeah, this is a good question, but I don't know why exactly now. But what I know is that what happened to Gina Amini was just. So it was basically the tip of an iceberg. So a series of collective actions and revolutionary attempts took place in especially last 13, 14 years in Iran. And then there were plenty of things before that people were angry about, which maybe in general can be divided into materialistic, like economic issues, and also more basically democratic issues. So this time all of them were combined together because the society economically is very low, and at the same time they are very, like, they're totalitarian. They want to meddle with everything, every aspect of your life.
Ok. Donc Hadi dit que c'est un petit peu la surface de l'iceberg, ou alors peut-être la goutte d'eau qui a fait déborder le vase. Depuis très très longtemps, il y a des tensions, il y a des mouvements pro-démocratiques, il y a des contestations également par rapport aux problèmes économiques, sauf que récemment ces problèmes économiques se sont beaucoup aggravés, et on est arrivé à un moment où la population ne supporte plus cette situation. Hadi, I see that Parisa is with us. We're going to try to talk to her. Donc Parisa est avec nous. Je vais essayer de la contacter. Hello Parisa, can you hear us?
Hello, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, we hear you very good. Parisa, so you're also Iranian. You also lived in Budapest. Can you tell me a little bit more about your background, how you arrived here in Budapest, if it's okay?
Yes, of course. Yes, it's been 12 years I live in Budapest. I arrived to Budapest to study in BME. I studied civil engineering. And I graduated in 2017, and I'm working since then.
Ok. Donc ça fait 14 ans que Parisa vit à Budapest. Elle est venue ici pour étudier et a fait une partie de sa vie ici. Je vais poser un peu la même question à Parisa par rapport à la mort de cette jeune femme. Pourquoi aujourd'hui en particulier, il y a eu cette explosion parce que les tensions avec le régime devaient exister depuis assez longtemps. Parisa, I'm going to ask you a bit the same question I just asked to Hadi a minute ago. This young woman, Kurdish origin, was killed by the morality police. Unfortunately, it's not the first crime that happens. The question I have is like, why this specific event brought to this big anger of the Iranian population? Why now?
Well, it is actually a great question, and it is something we need to look into closely and see why exactly this is happening. And in my opinion, it's because it's been 43 years that this regime is oppressing everybody. And then all of a sudden, and you see, like since the beginning, every 10 years, then every 5 years, then 3 years, 2 years, and the people were protesting, and they started to show their anger. Maybe you translate and
donc Parisa a dit que oui, effectivement, c'est une bonne question. Pourquoi maintenant ce meurtre a déclenché une telle colère? Ça fait 43 ans que ce régime opprime la population, et d'une façon assez régulière, toutes les 4 ans, tous les 5 ans, tous les 10 ans, il y a des mouvements de population, des mouvements de colère populaire. So yes, it's not the first time that the Iranians go in the street, but maybe this time is bigger than what happened before, isn't it?
It is. It just because when you look at the death of Mahsa Amini, and when you see that this girl could be anybody. This girl could be. It has nothing to do with where she's from, or how rich she is, or how poor she is, or how educated or non-educated. It has nothing to do with anything. She is just a human. And she was in the street, and everybody could relate to this person. And the thing about what we need to look into closely is what came out of this death, and the sentence of woman life freedom. This is something. This is exactly. It shows because
let me translate, and we will continue with this very strong sentence. Donc la mort de Mahsa Amini a vraiment touché le peuple iranien, parce que en fait tout le monde a pu, en fait toutes les femmes ont pu un petit peu se retrouver en elle. Ça aurait pu être en fait n'importe qui, ça aurait pu tomber sur n'importe qui. Parisa disait que il y avait ce slogan qui était what was the slogan? Woman freedom.
Woman life freedom. Woman life freedom.
Qui était woman life freedom, femme, vie et liberté.
Liberté.
Yes. And can you tell us a little bit more about the demonstration today? When did this demonstration started?
This everything started from 16th of September after Mahsa Amini's death, and just a little bit to your previous question, I wanted to add the main reason that I think people are you see this big huge effect from this protest is because after 43 years there have been enough people all around the world. There have been 9 million Iranian expats that they live, immigrants that they live outside of Iran, and all of these are awakened. All of a sudden, everybody, they are demonstrating in the street. They go every Saturday in every city in Europe, in most city, majority of major cities in Europe. They go in the street and they do protest. And this is what made the biggest impact, in my opinion.
That's very, very interesting. Donc Parisa disait une chose assez intéressante par rapport à ce mouvement. La pauvre Massa a été tué par la police des mœurs le 16 septembre et depuis les Iraniens ne décolèrent pas, ils vont dans la rue pour protester et peut-être ce qui a donné de l'ampleur à cette protestation, c'est que il y a environ 9 millions d'Iraniens qui vivent en exil et cette communauté d'Iraniens en exil a vraiment été très très active, a organisé des manifestations dans les grandes villes européennes et probablement c'est ça qui a donné l'ampleur du mouvement aujourd'hui. So, you and Hadi, I'm going to ask you a little bit the same thing. Hi. Hello. So, Ilnazo just arrived. Hello, Ilnazo. I'll let you sit down.
Hi.
Hello. Nice to have you with us, Ilnazo. Ilnazo, can you present yourself quickly, telling us what you're doing here in Budapest, if it's okay?
So I think me arriving late is like the most typical Iranian behavior. Yeah, so I just
I should have lied. I should have told you that it started at 3 o'clock.
So I moved to Budapest when I was 18. Mm-hmm. That is 6 years ago, in 2016. Mm-hmm. And I started studying in the medical field because that's what the Iranian, parents expect. You can either be a lawyer, a doctor, or you are a failure. And after 2 years, I decided that I'm going to be a failure. So I switched to photography.
Ok, cool. Donc, Ilnazo est arrivée ici à Budapest il y a 6 ans pour faire des études de médecine. Elle disait que elle est en retard, c'est un peu typiquement iranien le fait d'arriver un petit peu en retard. Elle dit que tous les parents iraniens voudraient que leurs enfants soient médecins, soit vous faites de la médecine ou alors vous ratez un peu votre vie, et elle a décidé un peu de rater sa vie et de changer de voie, de devenir photographe. Très bien. Donc you guys are organizing some demonstration here in Budapest. Could you explain a little bit how this thing has started, how you guys got in contact, who had the idea of organizing those demonstrations? Are you like a Facebook group, or how does it work? Donc la communauté iranienne ici à Budapest a décidé d'être active, de commencer à organiser des manifestations, et je leur demande comment ça a pris forme. Est-ce qu'ils se sont formés en groupe Facebook par exemple? Who would like to answer?
So it's not like a specific person who does it. It's more like a group or a community project. And since the very beginning, few people started doing this, and by the time more people joined and helped them. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's like this revolution brought us together after such a long time.
Okay, that's nice. Elle dit une chose très très belle. Elle dit que c'est la révolution qui les a rassemblés, qui les a réunis. En fait, il n'y a pas vraiment eu une personne qui a l'initiative de ça, mais c'est plutôt les gens d'une façon assez informelle se sont mis ensemble et ont commencé à agir. Je vais demander à Hadi à quelle fréquence il y a ces manifestations, où il manifeste, et également qu'est-ce qu'ils espèrent de ces manifestations. So Hadi, how often those demonstrations happened? Where do you use to demonstrate? Do you demonstrate to some places that have some meaning? And how many people would come to those demonstrations?
So, what was the first part of your question?
So, how often do you demonstrate? Like, how much demonstration did you have already in Budapest?
So many, like many of them. Mm-hmm. But we usually go, so it's two forms. We either go in front of the Iranian embassy, mm-hmm. or to some other places, like some places that we can attract others, somehow basically spread the word that what's going on in Iran. So when we are extremely angry, we go to the embassy and say we curse the ambassador or things like that. Or
you can say it in English, I just don't translate in French, okay?
And also things like that. Also, we just go for example, once we had a very nice demonstration, 1,000. Someone told me 1,200 people showed up, which is a huge number for Budapest, because we don't have so many Iranians as in France, Germany, but.
Can I add to this?
Yeah. Yes. Let me just translate. Don't forget what you want to say. Donc, Hadi dit que oui, il y a déjà eu beaucoup de manifestations de la part de la communauté iranienne qui ont été organisées ici à Budapest. Pour l'emplacement, ça dépend un petit peu du niveau de colère, mais quand ils sont vraiment très très remontés, ils vont devant l'ambassade d'Iran. Ils peuvent avoir des slogans un peu crus que je ne vais pas traduire peut-être à l'antenne, mais dans d'autres villes où la communauté iranienne est peut-être un petit peu plus forte, il y a des manifestations un petit peu plus importantes. Ilnazo voulait ajouter quelque chose?
So this revolution started back in September 2022, and for the first 3 to 4 months we literally had protests every single week or maybe twice a week. Also back in Iran and all around the world. But the thing is, after a while, I think the revolution steps in another level. So we have raised awareness, we have gone out and protested. Now it's the other level of the revolution. Like, you have to keep educating each other, and we have to keep learning and stuff. So I think we are a little bit past the point of protesting every weekend. We still do protest, but not as often. Yeah.
Ok. Donc, Ilnazo disait que la phase de la révolution était passée. On était passé à une seconde phase de la révolution, où il s'agit plus seulement de manifester, alors que les manifestations étaient vraiment hebdomadaires. Il y avait une manifestation toutes les semaines. Mais là, il s'agit de se former, de se conscientiser pour passer à autre chose. Now maybe I'm going to ask a question to Parisa. Parisa, from France, for example, we see that those demonstrations have been going on since, let's say, 5 months now, 6 months. Donc on voit que les manifestations ont duré depuis 5 mois, 6 mois. Je vais demander à Parisa si elle n'a pas peur que les manifestants se fatiguent un petit peu. En plus, la répression est très très importante. Est-ce que le pouvoir ne pourrait pas juste attendre que les gens se fatiguent, se démobilisent? So, Parisa, so we saw that the demonstrations are going since 5 months or 6 months. Aren't you guys afraid that the demonstrators just start to be tired of those demonstrations? Plus, in fact, there's a very big repression, if I'm not mistaken. Around 500 people were killed. Si je ne me trompe pas, il y a eu 500 manifestants de tués. And aren't you afraid that the Islamic power just sit back and wait that people would be tired of those demonstrations?
To be honest, there is no time, and there is no time to be afraid. There is no, like, it's, we cannot be afraid. This is not an option. Like, of course, there is, this is, all of us, we think about the danger of even us now speaking to you. It can have consequences for all of us, and not only for us, but also for our families. But raising awareness and talking about what's going on in Iran is just so important that we cannot not do it.
Ok.
Yeah.
Donc, Parisa disait que le temps de la peur était passé, que les Iraniens n'ont plus le temps d'avoir peur, et que ils sont obligés de rentrer dans une phase encore de conscientisation, etc. Did you want to add something?
Yes, and these things with that maybe it's the protest cannot happen every week. Maybe it's every 2 weeks or something. But the important thing is it's happening, and now there is, as I mentioned, 9 million Iranians outside of Iran, and each of them, if they do even one thing per day, which is just showing their anger from Islamic regime, it inspires other Iranians around them, and like this, more people every day will join the protest and will be motivated enough to keep this protest going, even if for some momentarily period, there are nothing going on in Iran.
Oui, oui. Donc, Parisa disait que même si les manifestations ne se produisent pas une fois par semaine, même si le rythme ralentit un petit peu, et que ça passe à une fois toutes les 2 semaines, 3 semaines, peu importe, l'important c'est de compter sur cette population iranienne qui vit à l'extérieur du pays et que les gens gardent la pression sur le régime et en permanence fassent des actions pour mobiliser les autres, quoi. Oui. J'ai une autre question pour Hadi. On avait discuté avec Hadi et Hadi disait un petit peu que l'Iran était passé à un moment où il pouvait plus retourner en arrière, quelque chose comme ça. Hadi, we were talking and you told me that Iran arrived to a state that it just cannot come back. Like it's something now. Iran will be different from today. Could you explain this?
Yes. It is different, and it is an irreversible something. So it's it's like a mother who is giving birth every day, to some new concepts, some new personalities, people who basically become so new figures in the revolution. So revolution is basically defining itself. And so what I wanted to say, just in a parenthesis, is that I don't think the demonstrations are declining. It's not declining at all. What we experienced for 5 months was so extraordinary. In the entire Iranian history, I don't think there was such a thing that for 5 months, every day people went out, took the streets, got killed. Like the amount of bravery and courage was amazing. So I don't think it's declining. What I see is that we just experienced something absolutely extraordinary, irreversible, where a revolution took place. So it will continue, and it will continue soon.
Donc Hadi dit effectivement ce qui se passe aujourd'hui en Iran est totalement irréversible. Il avait cette image, c'est un peu comme si une femme tous les jours donnait naissance à un nouveau concept, des concepts de solidarité etc. Et Hadi aussi n'a pas vraiment l'impression que l'intensité des manifestations décline, et au contraire on est en train de vivre quelque chose de vraiment très très nouveau depuis 5-6 mois que l'Iran n'a pas connu dans son histoire récente. Okay.
Can I add to this?
Oui, Ilnazo veut ajouter quelque chose.
Okay, so the last revolution that happened in Iran, correct me if I'm wrong, Hadi, it took 15 months, right? 12 or 15 months?
Donc la dernière révolution qui a eu lieu en Iran a pris 12 ou 15 mois.
Somewhere around that time. And it is really important to consider that we cannot win this fight with bare hands. The regime is shooting people with fire machines and stuff. So it's a bit unrealistic to think that we can win them over by just going out to the streets. We did that for 3 or 4 months. I mean, the Iranians back in Iran did that for 3 or 4 months, and there was left so many casualties. So from this point, like from a month or two, people decided that, okay, we're gonna, instead of going out every day, like a limited amount of people, we're gonna have callings for different days, big days in Iran. For example, the anniversary of the Islamic Revolution. That is a big day. We can take advantage of that. We can, ruin the regime's picture. So people outside of Iran, instead of seeing that people are celebrating the Islamic Revolution, they will see that people on the same day that the revolution took place are demonstrating against the regime. So instead of going out every day, they will go. Yeah.
Donc c'est très intéressant ce que dit Ilnazo. Premièrement, elle dit que il faut être réaliste. La population ne peut pas vaincre ce régime à main nue. Il faut commencer à penser à d'autres options. Et justement, la population commence à un petit peu à adapter sa stratégie. Donc, au lieu d'aller manifester toutes les semaines, ils essayent de trouver des dates un petit peu stratégiques, comme par exemple l'anniversaire du régime islamique islamique pour manifester et pour montrer au monde entier que cette journée n'est pas une journée d'adhésion au régime, mais au contraire une journée de défiance. Ilnazo, you wanted to add something?
Oh no, that was it.
D'accord, très bien.
May I add something?
Yes, Parisa.
Yes, regarding your question to Hadi, actually about this revolution being irreversible, I wanted to say that it is indeed irreversible because this revolution, it has happened already in our stomach. And we know this, that there is a future. There are people like me who was born in this republic, in this regime. And they were born in this situation. And when I was born, the only thing I heard from my parents and my elders was that this is it, and you cannot do anything about it. But now, today, I know there is something I can do about it. So, yeah.
Très très bien. Donc Parisa dit que cette révolution est irréversible parce qu'aujourd'hui, pour reprendre l'image de Parisa, les Iraniens le vivent à travers leurs tripes, cette révolution. Et Parisa disait cette chose de très très intéressante, que elle est née pendant ce régime islamique, et quand elle était enfant, elle entendait toujours dire que voilà, il y a rien d'autre, il faut accepter de vivre dans ce régime, et que là maintenant les Iraniens comprennent que non, il y a autre chose, on peut espérer un autre futur. Did you want to add something, Parisa?
No, I think it's fine.
Okay. Hadi, I would have a more general question, une question un peu plus générale sur Hadi, pour Hadi. Quelle est la partie de la population qui est vraiment active dans la révolution? Est-ce que c'est surtout les jeunes urbains, éduqués, ou est-ce que c'est plus large? What is the part of the population that is really doing this street demonstration, this revolution? Would you say it's rather the young, urban, educated population,
Definitely
or
the
is
Gen
it,
Z.
or
Gen
is it,
Z, yeah.
or is it bigger? Or you can both answer.
So Generation Z.
Oh, Generation, la génération Z. Hein.
So the courage and bravery that they have, we didn't have it. Otherwise, this revolution would happen years ago.
Donc, le courage de cette génération Z, nous qui sommes peut-être un peu plus âgés, nous ne l'avons pas eu, parce que sinon cette révolution aurait eu lieu déjà avant, quoi.
Les générations Z, c'est ceux qui sont nés en l'an 2000, c'est ça?
Je crois, oui. Les générations Z, c'est l'an 2000.
And even if you look at the casualties, the 500 plus people that have been killed in the past 5 months, most of them are from Generation Z.
Donc si on regarde les victimes, ces 500 manifestants qui ont perdu la vie pendant les manifestations, la plupart d'entre eux font partie de cette génération Z. Je crois que Parisa voulait ajouter quelque chose. Parisa, did you want to add something?
Yes. Actually, I wanted to add something that I do believe that it was Generation Z that started the revolution, because even Mahsa Amini was Generation Z. So these people, everybody from Generation Z felt the need to come forward. However, I think just to see a little bit deeper is that what is very important about the situation, the Generation Z, is not just their bravery, is that these people, these Generation Z, have their parents that they were born 30 years ago, and so therefore in this regime, and these parents, they went to the same school as the Generation Z. But us, we didn't have parents that they went to the school of Islamic regime. My parents went to school when there was the kingdom. So it's very different how my parents would react to me and would allow me to go to protest and everything than a parent who himself have been into this situation and knows, because everything is happening from the schools. And, yeah.
Donc Parisa dit une chose intéressante sur cette génération Z, donc les jeunes qui sont nés vers l'an 2000 environ. Donc premièrement, Massa Amini, la jeune victime, était également de cette génération Z. Et également, c'est une génération qui va fréquenter les mêmes écoles islamiques que leurs parents. Et les gens qui sont un peu plus âgés, leurs parents, à eux, ont peut-être plutôt fréquenté les écoles du Shah d'Iran. But what relation do you do with the fact that the parents were in this same kind of school? Do you mean that it brought the fact of just continuing forever the same system and it became unbearable for the people?
Because in the school, because right after what happened to Mahsa Amini, everybody, all the girls, especially the girls in the school, they started to take off their headscarf, and then all of us, we saw how they were inhuman, how they were behaving to the children, and the children would not stop, and the student would still continue protesting in the school. This is something that you as a kid, if you don't have the support of your parents, you cannot continue. But now these kids, when they would have gone home, they would have had the support of their family. Because what I want to say about the school is that the way Islamic regime is spreading its ideology to people is through these schools. And this is the main brainwashing happens in the school.
Donc le régime islamique diffuse son idéologie à travers les écoles. Le régime islamique lave le cerveau des gens à travers les écoles. Et ce que Parisa nous disait sur les générations, c'est que les jeunes dont les parents ont également été dans ces écoles islamiques ont eu le soutien de leurs parents, parce que leurs parents ont également souffert dans ces écoles islamiques. Et une partie intéressante de ce mouvement de protestation après la mort de Massa, c'est que beaucoup de jeunes filles ont commencé à enlever leur voile, à se libérer, quoi.
Can I add to this before you go to the next question? So I think it's a personal opinion, but I think the reason that the Generation Z is so involved in this is mostly because the access to the internet. I'm only a few years, I was born a few years before the Generation Z, but in my teenagehood, there wasn't so much internet access. So we couldn't see the life that everyone else has all over the planet. Right now, they grow up seeing every different country. They grow up seeing the people at their same age speaking, walking, and dancing freely out in the streets. And they were like, why can't we have that? Why can't we do this? So, yeah. We didn't know that. We didn't know any other life than the life that we had.
Donc, Ilnazo dit que un élément très très important, c'est la présence d'Internet, le fait que les jeunes aient accès à Internet, et à travers Internet, ils voient comment ça se passe dans les autres pays. Ils voient que les jeunes, par exemple, peuvent danser, s'amuser, avoir beaucoup de liberté. Et la jeunesse actuelle iranienne se dit, mais pourquoi nous n'avons pas accès à cette même chose, quoi. Je vais leur demander une question un peu plus compliquée, un peu peut-être spéculative. Comment ils imagineraient une chute éventuelle du régime? So I'm going to ask you a question that is a bit speculative. How would you imagine the end of the regime? Maybe Hadi, you could start.
The end of the regime. So first of all, I want to add something about the Generation Z. It's an interesting phenomenon actually to investigate what it is, but I don't really think it's all about one generation, you know. Many different social strata are involved, many different people from many different groups, and of course they might have even antagonistic goals, you know, but still they're all angry against the government. So,
donc Hadi dit que cette révolte dépasse largement cette génération Z. Ça touche beaucoup de générations, ça touche des strates différentes de la société, voire peut-être des strates qui sont sur certains points sont antagonistes, mais c'est un mouvement qui est plus large.
Yeah. So basically, the very totalitarian nature of this regime makes everybody angry. You know, from workers to teachers to to the retired to young people to old people. So everybody.
Donc la nature totalitaire de ce régime met toutes les catégories en colère, que ce soit les travailleurs, les professeurs, etc.
Yeah. Should I continue? Yeah. So basically, at this point, I say what is very peculiar about Z generation is that they have this image. They have an image that which is completely, how to say, cancels Islamic Republic's image. You know?
Donc, ce qui est nouveau avec cette génération Z, c'est qu'ils ont une image de la vie peut-être qui est en complète contradictoire avec ce qui est diffusé par le régime islamique.
Yeah, so the thing is that for the first time, as far as because all the three of us are post-revolution generation, so none of us remembered anything before, like we were all born after. But still, at least in my generation, we didn't really have that image that what can be alive without Islamic Republic. For the new generation, the image is there, but it's not something that they have created by themselves, you know, it's an accumulation of 43 years of resistance.
Donc il dit que ici sur ce plateau, ils sont tous d'un âge où ils sont nés pendant la République islamique, mais peut-être que la différence c'est que les gens qui sont un petit peu plus âgés, Hadi environ la trentaine, il n'y avait pas cet espoir de pouvoir vivre dans une autre société qui existe maintenant. Mais cet espoir de vivre dans une société n'est pas uniquement dû à la génération Z, c'est une accumulation d'expériences et peut-être de frustration depuis ces 43 ans, quoi.
Do you want me to make it a bit more realistic for like you can... Okay. So, I lived in Iran for 18 years. Not even once in my life I had the courage to... this revolution, firstly, is not only about hijab, but I'm going to give you an example about hijab specifically. So I have never walked out in the streets of Iran without hijab, but right now back in Iran, my friends, my very close friends, they are walking out in the streets without hijab. Once you experience that freedom, you cannot go back. There is no going back.
Donc Ilnazo donne un cas très très concret, celui du hijab. Donc quand elle était en Iran, elle n'aurait jamais osé sortir dans la rue sans porter le hijab. Et maintenant, elle voit que depuis les événements, beaucoup de jeunes filles sortent et ne portent pas le hijab, osent ne pas le porter. Et quand on a vécu une telle liberté, il n'y a plus de retour. Il n'y a plus de retour en arrière.
Can I ask?
Oui, Parisa. Yeah.
Yes, just in continuation of what Hadi said, I also really agree with him that he said it's accumulation of many different criteria, and one very important thing that we should highlight is that at this moment, because of all these Iranians that they live outside of Iran, they have managed to get very important political roles in different parliaments in Europe. They are mayors. The mayor of, let's say, Frankfurt is an Iranian. There is like Ayreza Akhundi who is in the parliament of Sweden, and there are like so many different politicians that they are active, and now they put a lot of their power into helping the protest and raising awareness about the protest.
Donc Parisa confirme un peu ce que disait Hadi. Effectivement, le mouvement aujourd'hui, c'est une accumulation de frustration du passé, etc. Parisa revient également sur le rôle très important, déterminant des Iraniens vivant à l'étranger, et elle donne quelques exemples, par exemple d'Iraniens expatriés qui sont maires de grandes villes en Allemagne ou députés au Parlement en Suède, et ces Iraniens vont vraiment faire peser de tout leur poids pour aider la population à l'intérieur du pays et faire pression sur la République islamique. I'm coming back a little bit to the first question. Je reviens un petit peu à la première question. How would you imagine the fall of the regime? Would you imagine that just the people who support the regime just start supporting the regime? How could it happen?
Can I answer? Of course, I'm not like politically educated enough to answer this, but in my opinion, like what we have been trying to do for the past month, Hadi is going to disagree with that. I see it coming. So we have been trying to like make a coalition, and the first person who offered to be a part of it was Reza Pahlavi, which is the son of the late Shah, and. Hadi, do you want to continue?
Donc, je traduis. Donc, Ilnazo dit que une partie de la réponse, c'est que les Iraniens qui protestent ont commencé à se mettre en coalition, et une des figures de cette coalition est le fils ou le petit-fils du Shah d'Iran. Donc, en fait, l'alternative, ce serait une alternative monarchique.
So, the thing is, it's a bit tricky because, the Pahlavi family, which is the late Shah,
ouais, la famille Pahlavi.
So many people love them unconditionally, so many people hate them unconditionally, rightfully so. They have done crimes, they have done good things, we can see both of them, like there is proof. But the thing is, people who are against Reza Pahlavi as an individual think that people who are supporting him are looking for monarchy. But that's not the case. We just want someone to represent us outside of Iran. Like, he has so many connections. And in my opinion, he's qualified enough to take that role. Hadi is going to disagree. I'm so interested to know what he's going to say.
Donc il y a un débat autour du personnage Reza Pahlavi. Sorry, is he the son or the great son of the Shah?
The son of the Shah.
Qui est le fils du Shah d'Iran. Pour Ilnazo, il ne s'agit pas forcément de revenir à la monarchie, mais c'est quelqu'un qui a des relations internationales et qui, du fait de ses réseaux, pourrait peut-être servir la cause de la révolution. Yes, Hadi, we already had this conversation. Donc j'en avais déjà parlé avec Hadi. L'opposition iranienne est très divisée sur cette question de la monarchie ou un autre régime. Qu'est-ce qu'il en pense? Et après, je vais donner la parole à Fabien. So, the Iranian opposition is quite divided on this question of going back to a kind of monarchy. Would it be a constitutional monarchy? What do you think about this question?
No, that's the wrong question.
No, that's the wrong question.
That is the wrong question.
What would be the good question? Quelle serait la bonne réponse? La bonne question.
Reza Pahlavi, the son of the late Shah, has been saying it a million times that I'm not looking for monarchy. I don't want to rule this country. I don't want to even be like a president or anything. I just want to help my people get to freedom. And that's it. After that, I will just leave.
D'accord. Donc, Ilnazo dit que Pahlavi déclare n'avoir aucune ambition en tant que monarque. Il veut juste, de par sa personnalité, aider la révolution. Et une fois cette action accomplie, il quitterait la scène. Okay.
Yeah. So first of all, about regarding the end of the regime, this is a very it's nobody knows what will happen, but it looks like they will have basically something like, so they're gonna face something like Gaddafi faced. So how many, or maybe not faced but experienced somehow in their body. So but I want to say that, so but it's what I see, that they will just be there until people overthrow them by force. There's no other way, and that's why I think they are not going to have good fate. I don't know how, but probably I can imagine that people are ripping him apart.
Donc Hadi imagine pour les dirigeants de la République islamique un destin un petit peu à la Kadhafi. Rappelons-le, il a été lynché par sa propre population. Que les gens au pouvoir ne vont pas lâcher le pouvoir comme ça pacifiquement, et qu'ils vont s'accrocher au pouvoir jusqu'à ce que les gens physiquement les jettent du pouvoir. Et Hadi ne leur prévoit pas un sort très très enviable. Juste Fabien, tu voulais poser une question?
Oui, mais en fait j'aurais deux questions. Ma première question, est-ce qu'on pourrait pas faire un parallèle entre la situation actuelle et justement la situation au moment de la révolution, mais avant que les mollahs n'arrivent au pouvoir, où finalement on ne savait pas encore quel pouvoir allait arriver au pouvoir en Iran, justement avant que les mollahs ne le prennent totalement. So can we make a parallel between the situation during the revolution or before the revolution?
You mean the revolution of 79?
Yeah, so at the end of the Shah, but before he felt, so before the arrival of the mullah, on the situation now. Because at that time, as I remember, lots of people were hoping of a new system, but not especially an Islamic system, but for example, the anarchists also were thinking that in Iran there will be an anarchist state, or the left-wing were thinking it will be left-handed, and etc. So can we make this kind of parallel now?
So there are similarities and differences. The thing is that basically something happened, I think cognitive bias has happened here, and is that so the Shah's regime in those times, it was an undemocratic state. It was a dictatorship, and then he was overthrown by people, and then the Islamic Republic came, and they were worse. Way worse, zombies, completely different qualities.
People didn't knew it at the beginning.
People didn't expect that a zombie is going to rule the country, and then for the next 10 years, and then for the next 33 years, another zombie. But the thing is that the cognitive bias is that we create a kind of fake dichotomy here, Islamic Republic against the monarchy. For me, there are two different forms of the same shit, So what I say is that to go beyond this, to go beyond any form of either realistic or symbolic verticality, that somebody is there and rules you, and he's entitled and he has all the rights.
Donc Hadi disait une chose très très intéressante. Avec la révolution de 79, on peut faire le parallèle un peu, mais pas complètement. Mais il reste un espèce de biais intellectuel d'opposer la monarchie du Shah d'Iran et la République islamique, alors que pour Hadi, en fait, c'est un petit peu la même chose, c'est un petit peu le même régime autoritaire, et la vraie problématique, ce serait de surpasser cette façon d'imaginer un régime horizontal avec quelqu'un qui a le pouvoir sur nous, qui puisse avoir l'autorité, nous dire quoi faire, etc. Donc dans ce mouvement qui consiste à se libérer de la République islamique, il faudrait peut-être se libérer également des illusions monarchistes.
Is the opposition already consolidated?
Est-ce que l'opposition est déjà solide?
Yeah, the opposition now basically, so first we had this campaign of authorizing the former Crown Prince, Pahlavi Reza, and which is, I mean, it's a basically double-edged sword for me, because in the beginning I didn't like it. I was like, okay, this is some kind of populism, so it's something that is good. Like, recently I read about this coup d'etat of Louis Bonaparte in France. So for me it's something similar, like, again after like some decades, again the same monarchy comes back. But then when I saw the resistance against it, which was not basically the same quality of resistance against the Islamic Republic, but I saw, okay, this is good. So out of this dialectic, something is being born. So to authorize Reza Pahlavi or not to authorize him, so now many people are thinking to basically think about it seriously and as soon as possible to form a coalition in which most people agree, and we can have some political means outside Iran.
So you mean that you start to agree with the fact that maybe Pahlavi could put all the opposition around him and be a moment in a...
No. Only if he is only if he is a very, 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 very humble part of a coalition.
Oui, donc Hadi a beaucoup de doutes sur Pahlavi et il fait un parallèle assez intéressant avec Napoléon III, qui après la révolution de 1848 a fait un coup d'État en 1851, si mes souvenirs historiques sont bons, et cette figure un peu populiste, Pahlavi, pareil, pourrait être quelqu'un qui reprendrait les fruits de la révolution.
Et peut-être ma deuxième question, très rapidement, en fait, c'est par rapport à la campagne. On voit que ici, ou alors dans les pays un petit peu dictatoriaux, ils s'appuient en général sur la campagne qui sont moins cultivés. Et qu'en est-il en Iran? So what I was thinking is that how is it in the countryside or in the little size towns? Because, for example, in some dictators countries, usually they take some steps from the countryside,
like Viktor Orban,
like little bit like here, and because they are less cultivated or they watch only the TV, etc. So how is it in Iran?
So I don't know, historically I think peasantry in general has something to do with not caring much or not being that politically conscious. I don't know, but in Iran what I see is that it's a supra class, and maybe, if you like, supra city or supra settlement revolution. So it's happening everywhere, and as far as my understanding, so we had before two revolutions in the last 150 years, like the Constitution Revolution and then the Islamic Republic. All of them happened in 2, 3, 4 cities. Yeah. But when we talk about Jinnah Revolution, I call it Jinnah Revolution. So in this revolution,
well, what is Jinnah Revolution? This
like
revolution,
the girl who was killed, who was
Jinnah was her Kurdish name.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Mahsa or Jinnah. So in Jinnah Revolution, we say, and before that, so from like I think in 2019, this phenomenon for the first time showed up.
Hadi dit que ces révolutions sont un petit peu transclasses, c'est-à-dire que même si elles ont lieu dans les villes, on les voit un petit peu partout, et il voit une petite différence entre la révolution d'aujourd'hui qu'il appelle la révolution Jinnah.
Yeah, and when this, so 4 years ago, it was the first time that I saw that in so many cities, not only the people talk about 100-something cities are out, like it's not something that even is close to other revolutions in Iran. It's way more widespread and
Donc le mouvement a vraiment touché beaucoup de villes. On peut pas dire que ce soit limité à la capitale Téhéran. We're gonna have to stop now, unfortunately.
You can listen to a music.
Yes, and on va écouter une musique. Would you like all three of you to add something to finish? Ilnazo, would you like to add a last sentence?
This revolution is not dead.
D'accord, la révolution n'est pas morte. It's only beginning.
Yeah, it is only.
Ça commence. Parisa, thank you for being with us. Would you want to add a last thing before we say goodbye?
Woman, life, freedom.
Les femmes, la vie, la liberté. It's a very good slogan. Okay, woman, life, freedom. What would it be in Iranian? Woman, life, freedom.
Zan, zendegi, azadi.
Can you say it again?
Zan, zendegi, azadi.
C'est très
joli. And in Kurdish is Jin, Jian, Azadi. Because it's a Kurdish slogan that we are now using.
D'accord.
This is very important. And also, what is the last thing I want to add is that the hallmark of this revolution is its feminist characteristic, and that makes it one of the most progressive revolutions of all human history.
Donc il dit que d'une part le slogan femme, vie, liberté a également son en kurde, parce que il faut pas oublier que la victime était kurde, et également ce qui distingue cette révolution c'est son aspect féministe, et ce qui en fait une des révolutions les plus radicales, peut-être les plus intéressantes de l'histoire. So thank you a lot, three of you, for coming on Tilos Radio to talk about the situation in Iran. We know that it's not easy for you guys. It can even be a little bit dangerous.
We don't give it down.
But we really appreciate. On apprécie beaucoup qu'il soit venu témoigner. So we're going to finish with one song. Donc nous allons finir en musique et.
The music, it will be. I found it on the internet. It was a music that became viral. I think it was a Iranian guy, a YouTuber.
Baroye?
Yes, I think it's. Yeah, so he was reading some tweets and.
It's a very famous. Like it's one of the most one of those phenomenal.
It has a story. Do you want me to say the story before the song? So it was at the very beginning of this revolution. This guy. Who was just a little known, like he wasn't that famous in Iran, and he released this song Baraye, and in this song he says so many different things why we are rising up against this regime and why we are doing what we are doing, and less than 24 hours after releasing that song, he got arrested, and of course he got a lot of media coverage and stuff. And only because of that they released him. So it's very important to know how they treat the artists and the poets, even the doctors. Like from any part of the society that you are, they're gonna come for you.
Donc elle parle un petit peu de l'histoire de cette chanson. Donc c'est un artiste qui était un tout petit peu connu mais qui n'était pas si connu que ça. Dans ses paroles, il a vraiment réussi à transcrire le sentiment de la jeunesse iranienne, du peuple iranien. Il a été brièvement arrêté par la police à cause de cette chanson, mais comme il y avait du peuple iranien, il a été brièvement arrêté par la police à cause de cette chanson, mais comme il y avait une certaine pression, il était libéré et ça montre comment la population est traitée. Donc on va finir avec cette chanson. Thank you to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
برای ترسیدن به وقت بوسیدن، برای خواهرم خواهرت خواهرامون، برای تغییر مغزها که پوسیدن، برای شرمندگی برای بیپولی، برای حسرت یک زندگی معمولی، برای کودک زباله‌گرد و آرزوهاش، برای این اقتصاد دستوری، برای این هوای آلود.